Welcome. This is going to be the handover for the Globecar Summit. If you'd like to follow me around the outside of the vehicle, we'll begin with the sliding door. As you open the door, in on the right hand side you've got your electric step switch. When you press down onto it, it allows the step to come out and obviously return the step. This step doesn't retract on ignition. You need to make sure that the step is folded away. Inside the sliding door, using both hands, pull your fly screen across, and then again use both hands again to make sure that the fly screen is fully retracted. Don't try and slide the door shut. This will damage the fly screen. At the back of the vehicle, on the outside, you've got your freshwater filler cap. So using the smaller key in, twist, and then twist the cap off, and then hose pipe straight in to fill up. There's an overflow, so you'll hear water coming down from under the vehicle when it gets to capacity, if it doesn't spit back up the neck, back at you. Into the back of the vehicle. Above the door, we've got the arm for the awning. We'll do that with you later on. In on the left-hand side, you've got your gas bottle. You'll have a cylinder in here. You turn the cylinder on by turning the knob on top anti-clockwise to allow the gas flow to go through, and by turning it clockwise to close the gas off. Use the spanner provided if you need one to go onto here. This one's actually got a twist valve on it, so you can actually twist and connect it from that point instead. It's a left-hand twist. There's capacity there for a second cylinder. It's not advisable to use the gas locker for storing anything else, as you may block the vents that are in the floor that allow the gas to escape if there is a problem. In the black plastic box, you've got your vehicle toolkit, which consists of a wheel brace, jack and handle for use. Under the bed on the right hand side at the back, you've got your access to your fresh water supply. You can see from the illustration on here that you've got a black tap. If it's twisted 3/4, it'll leave you with a transit capacity of approximately 20 litres. If you fully unwind it, then it'll allow the entire tank to drain off, of which the consistency of the tank is about 100 litres or so. All right, close it in the opposite direction. There's an inspection hatch further back if you want to put in solvents or cleaning solutions for sterilising, preparing the tank for the new season, then you can do so. On this side you have both your toilet and grey water. We'll start off with the toilet first of all. Unpop the handle with the small key and then turn it just a fraction, and that will reveal the cassette. Cassette's a Dometic one, so pull up on the green lever and you should be able to easily slide the cassette towards you to allow it to be emptied. Extend the grey neck out and remove the dark grey cap altogether. Tip it up over a collection point by pressing in the lime green button at the top, and that allows then the content of the waste out the base. Before you reload it, we recommend that you use a green chemical or sachet along with some fresh water, and that acts as the digesting agent. Put the cap back on, and then as you slide it back in, it should lock back into position and ready for use. Short twist of the handle and then push in, and it should lock back into position. Grey water. Put the spanner, the end of the spanner over the lever, and then turn the lever through 90 degrees, and that allows then the wastewater to open and drain out. So you're draining off the water from the shower tray, kitchen sink and bathroom sink, and obviously close it in the opposite direction to allow it to be used as the main travelling chamber. If you're operating the heating system, it runs on gas only. All of the exhaust fumes for the gas, water heating and room heating system are emitted from here. So maybe on a damp or a cool day, you might see a little condensation plume around that exhaust. That's perfectly normal. When you connect your mains lead, always connect to the side of the van first of all, and then to the power supply that you're going to be running into. To remove the lead, pull back on the cap, and then slide the whole unit away from you. To reconnect, make sure the cap is about 45 to some 90 degrees, and you should be able to slide in and connect the electrics easily. For your filler cap, Ignition key again. The outer flap's not affected by the central locking, so whether the vehicle's locked or not doesn't make any difference. Open the flap, ignition key in, quarter of a turn to twist, and then you should be able to then put your fuel in accordingly. There is a hanging hook on the back inside of the flap of the door if you wish to use it. Reinsert the cap, turn the key, again quarter clockwise. That will allow that to go back in. And just inside, at the end of the dashboard, you have your bonnet release. Incidentally, while we're here, underneath this panel, you have your access to your engine battery. We'll show you how to jump start the vehicle if you're required to do so. Underneath the passenger seat is the leisure battery. So when we go onto the bonnet, it's a central lever. Use your bonnet stay, lock it into position. Over on the left-hand side, you probably need a funnel, but that's your access for your screen washer fluid. You've then got your brake, radiator, and power steering fluid chambers there. You may have to undo these caps if you want to service them yourselves, otherwise leave it for an agent to deal with. Oil filler cap and oil dipstick are just there. Because the engine battery is located underneath the floor inside the cab, if you want to jump start the vehicle, use the ignition key, just pop this cap open and lift it up, and you'll see a paddle located just there. Attach your positive onto that one, attach the negative onto this bolt just here, and you should be able to jump start the vehicle if you need to do so. So this model comes with a fuel awning. Take the winding handle, put the T up into the slot and twist. Make sure that your sliding door is shut. Sometimes the mechanism can foul. As you get it out to a midpoint, you want to draw down the legs. These are spring-loaded into the body of the pelmet, so squeeze in slightly, let the leg slide through your fingertips, and then release this latch, push it down to the ground, and then push it back firmly so that it appears into a 45 degree. With newness, they can be a little bit stiff, so make sure it does go all the way up. This one is being particularly stubborn with its newness. Like so. And then it's the same on the opposing side. So push in. Slide it through. And then again, push up nice and firmly, as I say, because they're new, they'll feel like they're about at the breaking point. And then lock into position. The moment the awning is only about halfway out, so continue winding the awning out and then walking the legs out at the same time, like so, until it's fully extended. Your expectation is that the arms will go straight under the awning. They don't. They always remain in a slight dog leg position to keep the material nice and taut. They are sunshades. Wet or windy conditions, please put them away. Don't leave them unattended. Don't leave them out overnight. If you do get it wet, then dry it at the earliest opportunity. It's the reverse for retracting the legs. So make sure that they go down and then draw each leg back in accordingly. As you feed it back through, make sure that the foot is against the outside, the edge which is facing you, like so, to lock back into position. And then wind the awning back in accordingly. There's a C channel on the inside edge of the awning, so if you wanted to attach a freestanding awning, then you could do so. You probably need a Kadar strip as well to make it into a drive-away function. And just make sure the whole thing is wound back in, should go back in with a nice positive clunk. It's a little bit of a fiddle first time round. Just turn the whole handle through 90 degrees and you should be able to gently slide the T out and retract and stow the handle. When you first come into the van, up of the driver's cab seat, you've got your 12-volt control panel. Use the blue button in the middle, press and hold on it for a couple of seconds. It will bleep at you, and then when you release it, you should see time and display for the leisure battery. So we're currently plugged in onto the main supply. You've got your battery level indicator shown on the right hand side and your fresh water level shown on the left hand side. If I press the battery switch in the middle, it will change over and show you the actual voltage and also the voltage within the engine battery also. We've connected the solar panel to both batteries. Press this one and you'll see what percentage of fresh water you have, and you have one for the temperature inside and outside of the vehicle, marked by I and E for interior and exterior. 12-volt supply for all of your interior lights is done from there, so when that switch is illuminated you should find that all of your lights inside the van will operate and work. If you're going to be using the 12-volt supply from the fridge, you will need to have that one on so that it can work. And water pump I would use on demand. We'll explain a little bit later why that's the case, but turn the switch on and you should get your water flow coming through. After use, disengage it and switch off. Solar panel control is just around the corner from it. It gives you a display of what energy, what amperage is going into both batteries, both your leisure battery and your engine battery. You can press the test function and it will take you through the current voltages and displays that are available within those batteries. The water heating system and room heating system. There's a priming process which we'll cover later on, but to turn on the heater, press and hold the button into the middle. You will see a time display shown on the clock just there. When you tap on the button, you'll see a couple of different symbols appear along this top row. Use the black button to swivel between the different settings. The first one that you come to is your room temperature. So select that one and then turn it up to your desired output. All the time that the room heater is setting itself up, or the water heater, then you'll see this symbol on the top flash indicating that it hasn't reached that output. Once it becomes a solid symbol like the water one has next door, then it's an indication that it's set to that temperature, and it will thermostatically cut in and cut out on that temperature setting. To switch it off, just turn it all the way back down to the off position and select again for there. It's a similar story for the water system. You have the choice of having it in an eco mode, which keep the water at about 40 degrees. You have a hot mode, which will take it up to around about 60 degrees. If you are wanting to take it from one to the other, for example, so if you maybe wanted a shower after going for a swim, then put it into the boost mode and it will come on for a period of time, around about 25 to 30 minutes or so. It'll override any heat output and focus its attention on giving you hot water. This unit is a gas-only unit, so you'll only ever see the gas symbol shown at the top. Warmer weather, there is a fan option. So you put it into vent mode, tap the button again, and you can increase or decrease the speed of the fan and it will recirculate the airflow inside. It's not air conditioning, but at least it's breaking up and moving the airflow around inside. Turn that vent off. Bottom character position, the one in the middle sets up your clock, so when you select on that, you can set the clock to the desired time. That can then work in conjunction with a timer, so everything that we've just done with the room heating and the water heating on the top, if you want to set it up on a very basic timer, so that 8 o'clock tomorrow morning the water heater kicks in and the room heating heats it up to 20 degrees, then you can do so, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon it kicks out. Finally, there is just a settings mode, more for service and maintenance, but enables us to also access and do any settings on there. If you perhaps wanted to operate it in a different country and needing to explain to an engineer, then you can even change the language setting on that control panel as well. It's a master reset, so if you have to, then you can use that reset function to take the heater offline and start up any functions yet again. Otherwise, that's the heating control panel. You have the option, this is an iNet ready one, there is an app available from Truma, and you can actually Bluetooth your phone to this, and all of those functions can be controlled by a smartphone instead. So with the water system, if you're filling up the tank for the first time, you'll need to turn the water supply for cold on first of all, and make sure that you've got a consistent flow of water coming through. You'll also need to set up the hot water heater, so there should be a consistent flow of water coming out on that side as well. On the water heater itself, which is underneath the forward-facing seating block, there is a thermostatically controlled drain valve. Just move this hose out the way so you can see it slightly more clearly. So at the moment you can see that that blue tag is in a front to rear position at the moment across the casing, which means that it's allowing water to flow through that unit. Manually, you can turn that around, and you might hear water now coming down underneath the van, and that's draining, that's discharging the water heater completely. You would do that specifically for winter storage. When you set it back, just out of view, is a little blue button just there. Push that one back in, and that allows then that heater to reset. It's thermostatically controlled. If the air temperature in this space goes below 2 degrees centigrade, it will open automatically to protect the water heater. However, you've still got to leave your interior taps open on the shower, on the vanity unit, and on the kitchen sink to allow the water system to completely drain out. And don't forget to drain off your fresh water and wastewater tanks as well. To reset, do as I've just shown you just there, turn the switch back to that longways position, make sure the little blue buttons push back in. And then with the water pump switched on, you should be able to draw a supply of hot water through the taps. You can see from the little diamond position there, so all the way to the left is hot water, all the way to the right is cold water. If the tank had been emptied out, there would be a little bit of spitting and surging going on for anything up to about 2 minutes or so. You want to wait until you get that consistent flow coming through. Because we've heated the water up earlier, you can see obviously there's steam rising from it now. Although it might not be your intention to use the shower and the vanity unit necessarily at the same time, you still need to draw the water through those taps as well to make sure that you've got a consistent pressure and it's not going to damage the water heater. Shower obviously in behind the door. I won't make too much of a mess in here, but obviously just squirt it down onto the floor, turn it onto the hot position, and you've got your shower coming through there. Gas hob. With the gas supply turned on in the back, you can just go to these, use a gas match or a lighter, hold it in for a few seconds. If you've just changed over a gas bottle, it's beneficial to burn some gas off on the hob first of all. It ensures a good continuity of gas supply coming through. There are some isolator taps for the gas appliances located elsewhere in the vehicle if you want to use those as well. This lid, if it's brought down over the flame, it will not shut off the gas supply. So you need to make sure that the burners are turned off, that it's sufficiently cool here before you close the lid over. In addition to the gas isolation valve that you have on top of the cylinder, you have independent valves for the appliances into the back. So you've got this one on the right hand side, which is the gas supply for the hob, and one for the water heater. In the vertical position, it's allowing the gas flow to go through. If they're turned through 90 degrees, then it shuts that supply off to that specific appliance. General practice, I would switch off at the bottle, but if you're nervous or anxious about the gas supply, then by all means switch off at those, but don't use one as a substitute for the other. Domestic toilet, pull up your seat accordingly. You can actually swivel the seat around, you can't move the base bowl. To let the waste go through, pull forward on the grey slider. Let your waste go straight through, and then to flush the loo, press the on-off button in the middle. Flush water comes directly from your onboard fresh water tank. There's no separate reservoir for it. The other symbols that are up on here indicate whether the cassette has been docked properly underneath, and then a half and a full indicator for the emptying disposal. All right. This light shouldn't illuminate. Some of these models come with a separate reservoir. That's not applicable on this one. Make sure that the slide is closed over before you travel. So when you get into the cab of the vehicle, you've got stalk controls around the steering wheel. At the top, you've got your indicators and exterior lights. And then below, you've got your cruise control and speed limiter. So you go one direction for the cruise and the opposite direction for the speed limiter. Use the up and down arrows to select the desired speed that you want to utilize. Over on the right hand stalk, you've got your wiper and screen wash controls. Behind that, you've got headlamp beam adjustment and your rear fog lights. Over on the driver's door, your electric mirrors. So turn the toggle into the direction of the mirror that you want to adjust. All 4 mirrors can be adjusted, including the blind spots. And then your electric window controls are on there too. While we're on this side, you've got an electric central locking. So if all the doors are closed properly, then you can lock the cab and lock the sliding door and rear doors from that position. You've also got your blinds and fly screens. Carefully bring them forward. They're held in position with a magnetic latch. For the central front screen, then you draw the two together. And again, there is a magnetic latch on that side. We'll leave the blinds shut for a minute whilst we just go into these cab functions. Heated rear mirrors, another central locking button, and your hazard light switch. You have traction control and a hill descent control for use if you're required. If the vehicle is exceptionally laden, it can save some of the strain on the vehicle. On the traction control, you might want to disable that if you were maybe driving on snow or wet grass, for example, so it gives you throttle to wheel control rather than the engine providing a braking system. Ventilation controls, speed of the fan on the bottom half and the temperature control on the top, in conjunction with your air conditioning if it's required. If you are going to use air conditioning, you might prefer to have it on the recirculation rather than the open vent, and then your position of the fans within the vehicle accordingly. Because the vehicle's in reverse, you can see now that there's an image showing on the reversing camera. You can bypass it and you can drive with the reversing camera on, but there's also a navigation mode. And if you go to the home button, you've then got your options then for your digital radio as well. Press and hold on that button for a couple of seconds and that turns that device off. Reverse on these, up on the collar, push away and back for the reverse to click into position. Below the dashboard, you've got 2 ports, port 1 and port 2. They are connected to the media unit, so if you want to use other devices to give you media output, then you can do so. You've also got USB ports for charging and a 12-volt one for charging on the dash. These go off when the ignition is off. So that concludes the handover for your Summit. If you have any questions, please get in contact with us. Other than that, we hope that the van's going to give you lots of miles and lots of smiles throughout its life with you. Take care. Bye for now.